Come on, come on, die, die, die. Now, where's the combat? Alright folks, in this video we're going to take a look at the amazing RG Cube. Now this is a very special device and I've got a lot to talk about in terms of this particular emulation handheld. Now this is by a company named Anbernic. It's my first Anbernic. I haven't bought their devices before, and the reason I got this is there was a lot of buzz about handhelds with a 1x1 screen, and I didn't really get what the fuss was about because I have something like the Pocket S, which I can do 1x1 or 4x3, but yeah, you do get those black bars on the side with those. But with this one, if you're doing 1x1, of course you wouldn't get any black bars because it's a perfect pixel screen, so it covers pretty much everything, and it's compact enough that it's very easy to carry around, very easy to just throw in your backpack with pretty much all your other devices. Whereas if you look at something like this looks pretty much like a phone. It doesn't give you that nostalgia handheld feel because it feels pretty much like a phone, and it's a little bit hefty. It's not heavy, but it has some heft to it. So this aspect of the device is very cool, which is the reason I wanted to check out this device. Another thing is that the aesthetic of this is very pleasing. It's cute, and it feels like a real console, like a real handheld console that a company like Sony or Nintendo, well, I would say more Nintendo would make. They even have the Nintendo style layout over here. So this really gives you that nostalgia factor and feel of actual retro handheld, whereas other devices, again like the Pocket S or some of the GPD devices, they kind of don't have that cute feel to them, you know. And ergonomically, because this thing has a nice grippy bump on the back, it feels very good to hold, you know. So the aesthetics, the first impression, the aesthetics are very, very good. Now if we go into more details about this device, it comes with a very basic layout. You know, you have your face buttons, you have your D-pads and analogs. So I do want to talk a little bit about the D-pad. This is a Sega Saturn style D-pad. So it's a one-piece D-pad, and it's very, very good, easy to use. Movements are very smooth. I did not have an issue with this at all. It does have a good amount of pivot to it. The keys are very responsive, a little bit mushy. Personally, I prefer micro switches, something that SNK used to use. I guess they're expensive to make, so people don't use micro switches. These use rubber membrane, so they're good enough because most consoles use them. So if I had to choose, I'd choose micro switch D-pads, but people like membranes, and these are good membrane D-pads. And the only additional button on this device is the Anbernic key over here. So this one directly takes you to their front end. If you click it, you'll directly go to their front end. You have your basic start and select, your volume rockers on the side. There, it's recessed, so it doesn't really get pushed accidentally, so it goes all the way down. It's recessed in there. There's a small power button, and I haven't had issues with that. Down, you have your down firing speakers over here, so left and right. The speakers get very, very loud. They're nice speakers, actually. They aren't like amazing with bass quality and stuff, but for what they're supposed to do, they're really good. They get loud, they're clear, they have a good amount of treble to them, so they really function as good speakers for a retro device. So on the back over here, you have your fan slot. You don't really hear the fan as much. I run this on high performance mode and playing Nintendo Switch stuff. I don't really hear the fan. It's a very quiet kind of fan, but it is there to cool the device. There's an exhaust up here. You have a headphone jack, micro SD card slot, and your USB-C, which also does video out. I haven't really tested it, but it does do video out. This device doesn't get hot at all. I mean, since I got this thing, I've been playing for hours and hours, and I didn't feel any heat at all with this device. So I don't know what they're doing. Maybe they have a very good exhaust, or maybe because this doesn't use as much power, It doesn't get very hot. I'm going to list the specs down below. It has a Usonic chip in it, a very good Usonic chip. I believe it's a T820, so it can emulate pretty much everything up to Wii, with some hacks back and forth. You might have to use some hacks, so it does emulate a lot of stuff. Not perfectly, because there are games like what would be a game like okay, so like a 3DS game like Resident Evil Revelations, you might need some hacks to get it running more smooth, but for the most part it does emulate a lot of retro consoles, and we're going to get into that in a bit. So I've covered the exterior, and I can't stress enough how good this feels to hold. This is just a really good feeling device. And I have Nintendo Switch Lite here for comparison, so you can see the design choices they've made is very Nintendo-esque. It's very cute, very comfortable. For me, the Switch Lite is very comfortable because it's light, so I like this kind of a device. So it doesn't feel like a phone at all. When you hold this, you feel like gaming. That's the most important part, and that's something people I think really miss out when they look for emulation handheld. A lot of people, they would just go for something extremely powerful, which is okay, and something that looks premium, which is also okay, but you lose something in that. So this would feel more like a phone, you know. When I hold this, I know I'm holding a phone. I don't feel like I'm holding a console. So it's not giving me, it's not emulating, or what I would say, it's not giving me that nostalgia factor of what a real handheld would feel like to hold, something like a Game Boy or, you know, a GBA. So you miss out on that, but you do get power, and, you know, there are quirks with that as well. It's not as quick and easy. Something like this, you know, you could just, it's very solidly built. You can just throw it around, and it's very quick and easy to use. You just push a button, and you're in the game. You know, you can't do that with something that's bigger and larger, because first you have to, you know, carry it in a certain way, hold it, push the power button, and then you're going to go into your game library. Everything is big. The swipes are also big. So it doesn't give you that compact feeling that something like this gives you. So let's get into the device, of what it feels like when you turn it on. And so right off the bat, I'm going to exit out of this. So this is a very nice screen. I don't know where they sourced this screen from, but the colors are so good. I can't tell you how good this screen is, because I have AMOLED displays, and this competes with AMOLED displays. This is a very, very good screen. Some of the earlier units had issues with, I believe, light bleed and stuff, but my unit does not have that. So let's go to a completely black background over here. So this is completely black. I did test this in the dark as well. This is in a well-lit area, but this thing is completely black. So I did not have any light leak or anything like that. Even with full brightness, I didn't have that issue at all. And the colors are very, very good. The display is vibrant, but not too vibrant. It's not oversaturated like some screens. It's not undersaturated. It's just about right. So that's a very important aspect of retro gaming, that you want a good screen. And the other thing is, as I said, this is a 1:1 screen, so you can get perfect pixel count. Perfect pixel count means your pixels won't be stretched. So if you're playing a 4:3 game, your pixels won't be stretched. You know, it'll give you a good aspect ratio, and you can use some filters to make it look even better. So that's a very, very cool thing about this device and this aspect ratio. There is another device, the RGB30, that has a similar aspect ratio, but that doesn't have the quality that this thing has. This feels like a quality device. So when you click the Ambernick key, which is over here, it's going to take you to, oops, sorry. I get confused with the buttons because it's using Nintendo Switch style layout, which you can switch over here. So let me go through the settings over here first. So they give you two modes which you can switch on the fly: Xbox mode and Nintendo Switch mode. By default, everything is configured to Nintendo Switch mode because B is your back button, XY. But if you switch to Xbox mode, you'll get the traditional ABXY keys. It'll just switch around. So it can be a little bit confusing for someone who doesn't use Nintendo style controls on Android as much, but if you use their default launcher, it's configured that way. So you have a fan setting here. I just leave it on auto. You have high performance mode and power saving mode. I just leave it on high performance mode because the battery life on this thing is really, really good. Even while playing Nintendo Switch games, it's pretty good. In a mixed case scenario, I've played this for about 9 hours straight, you know, with a mix of PlayStation 2 games, PSP games, some Wii games, 3DS games. So around 8 to 9 hours I've played off and on. With the screen on time, I believe it'll probably come to 5 hours, 4 to 5 hours. So this has a very, very good battery life because it doesn't use as much power due to the size, I guess, the screen size. So when you click your Ambernick key, it's going to take you to their front end. Let me get this right. Okay, so this is their front end. Don't worry about this little thing over here. I will show you why I have that later. So it does come with a 256 GB SD card. I believe that's an option, and it comes packed with a bunch of games. It's configured to a bunch of emulators, so it's very plug and play. So if you have a kid and you want to give this to your kid, it's very plug and play. You can just give it to them and they can just straight away start up and play a bunch of games. So they do have a ton of Nintendo stuff over here. They have, surprisingly, they have Pico 8 stuff over here, which is a PC, it's like a PC platform that they make indie games on. It's very cute. You can check it out on PC, and it works great over here as well. They have GBA, they have some arcade stuff, they have Final Burn, that's an arcade one. They have PlayStation 2. So I mean, if you want to go down a ROM list, just look at this stuff. This is just a bunch of Pokemon stuff, Mega Mans, and there's just a lot in here. I mean, it would take you ages to go through all of these. They have a lot of Dreamcast stuff as well. And the cool thing is everything is pre-configured. Now, if you're an enthusiast, you probably want to put your own stuff, your own emulation, maybe your own dumps as well. Because some of the stuff, the emulators aren't configured as well. They're using older versions, or they're using versions that are not properly configured. So you might want to do a reset and just set it up as your own if you want, but you can play it out of the box as is. So that's a pretty cool thing as well. Something else that I wanted to cover before I go into the gaming aspect of this is the RGB. This does have RGB on it, and I have selected, if I go in here, so I've selected the chasing ambient light. So that's my favorite. I really like this thing, and it feels good while playing. There you go. So this is very, very cute. I like this. This is so good. I just think this device is very, very cute. I can't stop talking about this is because I have so many handhelds. You know, I've been doing this for a very, very long time, more than most. But this is by far the coolest thing I've ever bought. And it's not expensive, surprisingly, compared to something like the Pocket S. This is only around $149 or $59. And you could probably get a discount on that as well if you're not taking the SD card or something. They have coupons all the time. So this is something very cool. My only regret is I didn't buy two. I should have bought more, and I think I'm probably going to get more. Before I get into any of the quirky stuff, if you're into retro handhelds, regardless, you should have this. This is something you should own because this is a really cool device. Everything about it. But I'm going to get into a little bit of the quirks of this device because of the screen. Now, the screen is excellent, but it is a 1:1 screen, so a lot of 16:9 content isn't going to look as cool and clear or good, because it's going to have big black bars. I can show you that, but what would I show you? That would let's take a look at something like, well, so let's take a look at the PSP, for instance. All right, so the PSP, I have it configured so it's a bit stretched. So let's just go into God of War over here. All right, so let me do a load state. Now, the way I am running this is, wait a second, this gets pretty loud, so I'm going to turn down the sound a bit. So the way I have this configured is a slight stretch up and a slight cutoff on the left and right. So it gives you an even cutoff, and it also doesn't make the game look very stretched, but it's good enough. But if you use it by default, let's just make a games config over here, because I don't want to spoil my other games. So when you go down to display layout and effects, so you can see the aspect ratio is 72. Now if you want to do a reset, all right, and go back in the game, oh there, so that's what it looks like if you do a reset, and this is not fun to play. It does give you a perfect aspect ratio, but that's really not how I enjoy playing. But what I like to do is, as I showed you before, is stretch it just enough that it doesn't feel too stretched. So I go back in there and I go to display layout. Now I don't know if I can get back to what I wanted. Let's see, 72. No, it's a pity you can't save the settings in here. So you still have to do a resize, because as you can see in the screen, it still looks a little bit stretched. So what you'd want to do is, oh, I'm not able to click on resize. Oh, there you go. Okay, so with a resize, I can't do it right now because I think my screen is a bit blocked. So okay, we can do the move, and then we can do the resize. Oh, there we go. So with the resize, what you want to do is, if you see the borders right there, the end borders, you just go slightly up. All right, so you got it. There's a little bit of a cutoff, but it gives you a better look. I think I've done it a little bit too much, but it'll just give you an idea. Oops, I think I've screwed up. Well, anyway, when I had it on default, I think it was working well. Let me just go back to my normal stretch. So this is Call of Duty. All right, in there. So I have configured this already. This is basically my ABXY, because this is Call of Duty. So we're going back into my stretched aspect ratio. As you can see, it's right on the edge, and it does cut off. You can see it says Advance. It cuts off the edge just a little bit, but it's good enough that it still makes the game feel very good to play. So this is a 16:9 aspect ratio stretch to match the 1:1 screen, but not all the way. You still have black borders. So this is a very dark scene over here. Oh, my bad again. That's what happens when you customize the controls. I played a lot of this and it feels very, very good. So the stretch is not too bad. It feels good, and I like playing this way. So let me just get a gun. Wow. And put some volume. I hope it's clear enough that I think it looks visible. All right. This feels very, very good. This is a PSP game, but I've configured it to use the analog stick, and it feels really good. All right. So like that basically gives you an idea what I was trying to say with the stretching bit, and that is for 16:9 content. That's not for 4:3 content. With 4:3 you have a completely different stretch. Some games look really good, some games don't work well with 4:3, but it depends on how you customize it. By default it still looks good. So we're going to go into some normal content. So let's look at the Game Boy Color, and then something like so let's look at something like Mega Man Extreme. So this is 4:3 content, and this comes default. As you can see, there's some really nice bezels that Ambernick has pre-configured, which is pretty cool. A lot of devices use this bezel system. I think they're all using RetroArch, so they've got these oops, my bad, configured by default. So the controls are very, very solid, very easy to use, and it's just really cute. That's the only word I can come up with. It's cute and comfortable. Comfy and cute. This would be a cozy device. You know, if there's a term called cozy. So this just gives you a really nice nostalgia feel to it. Let's get into something harder to emulate. Switch emulation, which is really cool on this device. I didn't think it would emulate Switch, but apparently this chip is powerful enough to emulate a lot of Switch stuff, and it looks good while doing it. So this is just a fork I'm using, one of the many forks of Yuzu. It just gives you an extra option for CPU. You don't really need it, but it's good. So these are the games that I have emulated, which work very well. I do have these games on my Nintendo Switch as well, and the reason I say these games is, one, these games should be fully playable, and the stretch should work great. So let's go into something really cool, which is Fight and Rage. Now this game is so badass. So this is a fighting game. This is a Nintendo Switch game, and I have stretched it to fill the screen. I'm just going to show you how cool this thing looks on this device. Come on, let me go in the game. So Fight and Rage by default has a very like cool looking CRT kind of display to it. So plays this guy. So this is fully stretched, and it still looks cool because this comes with the effect. This comes with a very retro style effect to it. Oh, I think the screen is too dark, so let me just brighten up a bit. It's a lot harder to play with the controller on, but okay. Forgot the key. It just looks really good. I don't know if you can see how good this looks with the whole stretched out thing, but it just looks so cool. I love playing this way. I think this was probably how they intended to play it. I don't know, but it just feels really good. So let's do some a little bit more hardcore Switch emulation. So I have Dusk over here. Dusk is a very popular game, that shooter on PC, and it's great on Nintendo Switch as well. So let's do Dusk. And this is also, I think I've stretched it out. Keep in mind this is running on a Mali GPU and such a small thing, and you're going to be impressed by how this game looks and feels. And what's strange is this chipset is more compatible with a lot of Switch games than something like the iNeo, which the drivers are just messed up for Switch games. So, oops. All right, there we go. So I haven't stretched it out all the way, but I have made this 4x3. Oh. Come on, die. I'll raise the volume a bit. I love playing shooters on this. They're so cool. Alright, let me get my gun. I forgot how to do this. Okay, there we go. Which is the crouch key? This is the one. Alright. I hope I'm recording this right. Strangely, when I'm recording stuff, I forget everything. Where are you? Where is he? So this runs pretty much at 60 for the most part, from what I've tested in the first level. There is a bit of variation, but the Switch does allow for a little bit of FPS variation, but that works really well. Very impressive. Die. I can't tell you how good this is. This is just so cool. If I was still in school, this is something I would carry every day and just play a bunch of Nintendo Switch games on it. Keep in mind, it can't run every single game, but a lot of the indie games, like something what I'm playing now. So let's look at Hollow Knight, a popular game. I have this completely stretched out as well. So if you're wondering what this is an accessibility feature, because some games you can't read the text. So this is just a floating icon that you can just click and you can zoom in. So there, if I wanted to zoom into the menus and see everything, but I can just click that back and go back. So this is stretched out. This is 1x1, not 4x3, because some games look really good fully stretched out, like Hollow Knight. This feels very natural. I don't feel like it's stretched or anything. This is just so cool. Wow. So this is emulating Hollow Knight very well. Oops, I got screwed up. You can cap the FPS if you want, but I don't think that's necessary because for the most part this game runs very good. What am I doing wrong here? Alright, there we go. Oops. Alright, there we go. Oh, we can hear the sound. This. So in case you're wondering about my settings, what I'm using, I use per game settings. So in your graphics option over here, I think it's over down here. So aspect ratio is stretch to window. I usually use this for games that are good with 4x3 content. Otherwise I use 4x3. So you can select 4x3 if you want, or the default 16:9. So for this game, I'm using stretch to window. So let's check out another really cool Nintendo Switch game. I have all these games, but they're so cool to play on this that I had to try them out over here. So this is Juarez. This is a little bit, it's an older shooter, but it came out for the Switch. And this is another one that works really well, surprisingly. Stretched out. The menu looks a little bit weird, but the gameplay is pretty good. So let's just try to do an arcade mode. So there you go. This is so cool. There's a bit of frame dip, but it's not that bad. It usually goes back to 30 pretty fast. I'm just playing a very heavy scene right now. I didn't expect this. This is so cool to play. I'm probably gonna die here. Everybody should try this game on the Cube. You gotta try this game on the Cube. It's just so fun to play. Oh yeah. All right, if I keep going, I'm not gonna stop. So, another one is Torchlight 2. Now, Torchlight 2 is the one of the Switch games which, if you stretch it all the way, it doesn't look good. So I just put it to 4:3. And this is an excellent action RPG, one of the best. Sadly, it's made by Perfect World, a company I don't really like, but also ported by Panic Button, a company I really like. So, yeah, that's weird. So for this, you're going to use that accessibility feature because a lot of times, you know. Alright, so I like to play it zoomed in on this device so it gives me a clearer view. So any game with a very clean and clear interface is going to work very well from the Switch. On this, when it comes to visibility, not all games work, but a lot of them do. There's just a ton of games that work well. They put a spell on me, huh? Well, anyway, that's Torchlight. And then there's Project Warlock, another cool game. I just want to show off how amazing this is. This is fully stretched out as well. Now, I don't know if that's going to be a... Okay. So this runs very smooth. I did have to configure the controls a bit. And if a game supports FOV settings, so like this one does have FOV settings, so you can see I've put the FOV all the way down to 60, so it gives me the full aspect ratio look. Oops, why am I doing a touchscreen? This is not an Android game. This is just amazing. This is way better than playing it on any phone. This game is really good. Alright, but I'm dead. It's a hard game. It's not easy, but it's really good. I would recommend everybody try playing on this kind of a screen with these kind of games. So there's Void Bastards, but you really need to use the accessibility feature, which is a magnifying glass to see stuff. So to activate that is pretty simple. You just go to settings. You can type it over here. Okay, it's not working, but there you go. So magnification on. If you click that on, you'll get that little thing over there on the side, so you can magnify stuff that you can't see clearly. But for the most part, text is pretty okay. And now, I'm not a really big Android gamer, but since I got this thing, I started playing Android games. And I'm not talking that online crap, always online shit. No, I'm talking about real Android games from developers who actually care about their stuff. So, I do have Titan Quest over here. This game is phenomenal. I played this on PC, and then I bought the Android port, and wow. This thing just blew me away of how well it looks. I mean, how good it looks and how well it plays. So, let's just... So this does have controller support, which is really cool. And so there you go, it's full controller support. And it looks amazing. Just playing on this screen is just wow. I'm gonna get some combat over here. Where are they? Come on now, where's the combat? Oh, that's too much of a zoom. I definitely recommend everybody play this one. Alright, that's Titan Quest. Another game which is excellent on the RG Cube is Huntdown. This is a native Android port of the Switch game and PC game. It runs very, very well. The menu screen is a little bit cut off, but for the most part, the gameplay is fine. Let me just lower this down a bit. I'm not sure. This does, some of the games support controller, like almost all of them do, the ones I'm playing, but they can be a bit wonky sometimes. So this one does have proper controller support. As you can see, this thing looks just amazing. The colors. I'll put the sound a little bit higher. Oh, I forgot the keys. I've forgotten all the keys, so... okay. Alright, for something like this, I'm going to show you the mapping function. So the controls are a bit wonky on this. So I'm just going to bring up the controller mapper, which is over here. You just have to long press this, and it shows up. Let's see if I have the config manager. The key mapper is a bit weird because it's kind of strange how they use it. There's no simple drag and drop. You have to turn each key on and off. Well, I have a config here, I think, for this. So yeah, now it should be fine. Now one of them. Also, it doesn't automatically turn off the key mapper. big time. Alright. Huh. That's that. Well, anyway, I haven't mapped the keys properly, so we're just gonna go with this. We just have an auto crouch over there. Just oh, there you go. Let's hunt down. You probably want to turn off the key mapper manually because it doesn't turn off and it's kind of weird. I think it's switch over here. Alright. Another game which runs very well is Almora of Darkness. Almora Darkosen. It's a really cool game, and it has full native control support. Android games by default, a lot of them work well with the 1x1 screen because they natively support it. That's too low. Oh, I'm back at the tutorial phase. Pretty fun action RPG survival kind of game. Very, very cool. I love the graphics, the art style. I was pretty surprised by Android games. They're really good. The ones with good single-player offline developers, they're pretty good. And a lot of them are free. You can play them with ads offline as well. Or you can get the premium version. But this one I did buy. It's very, very good. Definitely worth it. So let's try a bunch more. Slaughter. This is made by Indie Dev. And I have Slaughter the first one, and this is the second one. I think there's a third one as well. It's not like an amazing game, but it's a really fun shooter. Like I'd say like it's a B game. It's a really nice B game. And it also has full controller support. You can play it offline. I forgot how to... Okay, I'm going to change the keys. And that's my guy. Really, really cool game. You should check out the Slaughter series. It's not expensive. It's a cheap, fun B game. You know, it's not like amazing, but it's really fun to play. I've forgotten what to do over here, so... The reason I've played a lot of these Android games are because they support this aspect ratio very well. I've played this game a bunch. It's a really good game. I hope this guy keeps making games. He's a good guy, good developer. Kind of a little bit faster paced action version of Resident Evil. There's a bunch of other ones that I really wanted to show off, but this video will go on too long, and we still have to get into the emulation aspect of this device. So I'm just gonna go back to Ambernick's menu, and we're gonna check out some Dreamcast. And What's a good Dreamcast game? So try. So as you can see, Dreamcast, it has its own bezel. Ambernick sets up the bezels for pretty much everything in this. Alright. Okay. This game looks so much fun. To play on this, it looks so much fun. It feels like I'm in like the mid-90s. Controls are very good. I don't have an issue with them at all. Alright, let's try some... What do people like to watch? I think Sonic is a thing. I haven't played Sonic games in a while. So... What? Oh! Okay. Sound. Alright. Well, there's no way to turn off the sound, so... there's music playing. I'm pretty sure it's copyrighted music. A bit of a graphical glitch over there. Most games should run fine with a default emulator. You shouldn't have issues. But... I'm missing it. So if I try to actually play it, I'll have to take the screen off camera then. So that was a break. Let's try to make this jump. Okay. That's cool. Alright, so this runs pretty good. That's some Dreamcast. There's a bunch of Dreamcast games over here. Oh, they even have Darkstalkers, alright. Let's go back. I keep getting confused with the controller. They do have some vertical arcade, so that's pretty cool that they... I wonder if they have Batsugan. Oh, they do! So Batsugan is one of my all-time favorites. I really love this game. This is one of the best top-line games. Very, very hard to play. Not easy at all. Oh. This brings back memories. I've played this game so much. Okay. So this map here, map. Oh yeah. That's what I'm talking about. This is what I want. This is my game. If you haven't played Batsugan, you should definitely try it out. I think in North America it's called something else. But this is so good. Great. Control is really good. Ow, 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 ow. Almost got. I can literally spend hours and hours on this game. It's very rare that a system would make me so happy. Like, I genuinely feel happy when I play this. There we go. We're gonna go crazy right here. I shouldn't have wasted that. Oh, whoa. Alright, I'm gonna. See, that's the thing about this. If I start playing, then I'm just gonna keep playing, and that's really not. Let's try. Let's go back. Let's try one GBA, something. Let's try Sonic Advance. So GBA again, it's got its own bezel, and you can see it looks pretty good with this bezel. put back the volume up. This looks very, very nice. Forgotten all the keys again. There we go. Oops. Oh, I have no idea what I'm doing. I haven't played Sonic since the Sega Genesis. It's not something I really play much. You can't see it on this video, but the pixels are so clear. It's very clean. Because of the aspect ratio, the pixels, the game, it just looks really good on the screen. This is definitely the way to play. Well, if you're emulating, unless you want to get the original console. I think everybody knows GBA for the most part, so we're not going to dive too much into that. We can play a little bit of God of War. I think I messed that up. I think I have not Vice City, Liberty. This one. This is my jam. So as you can see, I've got this one a bit stretched out as well. It has a little bit of the side cut off, but it's fine. It doesn't destroy the game, and it's very minor. So. Uh-oh. It's using the Nintendo Switch keys, so... The keys are all weird. This is reverse. You have to configure the keys to the way you want them. So we're just gonna get this guy to his destination.
This is it, Tony. Home sweet home. Beautiful, ain't she? This shithole is supposed to be my home? Oh, I think it's very you. Now
what else? Okay, so DS is a thing in this. The default way Nintendo DS is mapped. So let me show you how it's mapped by default. So by default, they map it this way. They have the bezels, and it looks cool, but it's definitely not the way I would play. So for something like this, yeah. So, alright, that's gonna get wonky. So the way I do it is let me see if I got this right. So I've mapped the screen to be bigger. You can customize it. What's A? Okay, this is A. I don't know how to beat this guy. This is Alien's infestation. It's a real pain in the ass to beat this guy. I'm supposed to hit him on top from here. That's the. So let's go to one of the highlights of this device, which they advertise quite a bit, and that's the 3DS. A lot of the 3DS games run fine. Some of them do need some configuration and hacks. So this is the default setup it comes with, and the default setup for 3DS is pretty good. This is pretty much how you would want to play it. You could stretch the screen a little bit if you want, but it's not really necessary. And this is a Japanese ROM. Okay.
Let's get started.
Oops. Oh well, I can do my moves just fine. And you have the... yeah, they had this. So the moves are pretty easy to pull off. Yeah. So I'm going to show you a game that can have a little bit of stutter, which is over here. So this is one of the parts that does stutter, because it's a wide open area, but when you actually start playing the game on the other way, you know, it doesn't really stutter. You're rarely going to be in this kind of area, so usually that doesn't matter. And I think you can do some frame skip or skip draw or something to fix that. So when you go into the game areas, you're totally fine. This was a very good port as well. It's only when you get to this outer area you can start to stutter a bit. But it's not always the case. Oh, it's a run kick here, that's that. Well, that's some of the 3DS stuff. If anybody wants to see some Pico 8, there was a top-down shooter over here. It's pretty good. Oops, I've over... PS2. So I have it a little bit stretched out. This is a 4x3 game, but it looks really good even though it's stretched out. Oops, wrong key. And there's no discernible lag or anything, it runs pretty smooth. I know on the RG556, which has the same chipset, there's a bit of stutter in that, but this one, even without hacks, it seems to be running fine. Yes, I don't think I have any hacks enabled for this. This God of War is so much better than anything that's come out recently. I don't like the newer games. This is a pure action game. None of that bullshit son-father crap. This is a real game. It's just pure combat. Maybe I'm just not a fan of the 3D stuff that they do. This is, I think, the David Jaffe version, the original guy who created God of War. feels so good. So if you want to see what it looks like if you don't stretch it, you can just go to options, graphic here. So I have it stretched to full, and you can do it standard, and it's not that different, you know. Difference isn't that big. You're actually losing a lot by playing this way. So stretching 4x3 games usually for the most part is okay. It's not not a big deal. So let's go back and stretch it to full. So it looks just as good. Alright, and I want to show off some PlayStation because there's a really cool Medal of Honor game. Okay, this is going to be very, very hard. So for some reason, my config isn't saved, which means I can't really do anything. It's really weird that people used to actually play games this way, because I played this game and I have no idea that oh no, actually this did have analog support, but it's a very strange way to play this game. Probably want to quit and do the config later, but it's another cool game that you can stretch. There's just too much stuff to cover in this. There are too many games. And as I've shown before, Switch emulation was really impressive. Android games were really cool. Like, some of the games are just wow. They're really, really good. Nintendo DS, you can run pretty much anything. 3DS can be a bit iffy. GameCube, Nintendo Wii. Oh, I do have a Wii game here, so. This game does run fine. Something has gone wrong with the configuration. As you know, the emulation bit can be a bit iffy sometimes. You need to configure it, and then you may lose your configuration for whatever reason. Oh, there we go. Now it's running fine. Who's shooting me? This game is really cool. Even though I'm completely lost, I don't know what I'm doing. Because I play a lot of stuff to test, I don't remember keys, I don't remember where I'm going. I'm not focused on it at all. One of this is A, okay, this is A. Well, so that's a Wii game. That's GoldenEye. So reaching the conclusion, the RGB Cube, or the RG Cube by Ambernick, is an amazing device. I think this is something you should have in your collection, even if you don't play a lot of retro games, because it's just something really cool, and it's rare that something so good comes along. You know, there's a lot of devices, but it's rare that you get that complete finish fit package. You know, it's very rare. Some devices have like a bad screen, some have bad analogs. This has none of that. Everything works fine on this, and if you take the time to configure all your emulators and make a nice setup using Daijishu or a front end, you'll have a great time. I honestly can't see anything bad about this device. I would like it if they made something a slightly, this is a 4-inch display, so if this was 5-inch with the same aspect ratio, that'd be really cool. I'd really like to see that in the future, but I don't see any con with this device. You can't go wrong. You really can't go wrong with this device. You can also do Moonlight streaming, something that I didn't show off in this video, but Moonlight does work great. If you're going to play like certain games which support that 1:1 aspect ratio, or you could just simply customize it on your Windows device. If you have an NVIDIA device, you can customize it, but Windows emulation works really good compared to something like the Nintendo Switch. Now the Nintendo Switch is great for what it does. I do have a modified one as well, but the thing with the Nintendo Switch is, even with Android on it, it doesn't give you the same nostalgia feel as something like this would. So playing GBA on this versus playing GBA on this is a whole world of difference. It's very different. Some people might like the bigger screen, but this is just really cute to play on, and cool and comfortable. And if you look at the back, these are very slim, so they don't really need a grip, but with a grip and something so small, this feels good. This feels really good to hold. It's kind of like 80s punk aesthetic going for it, I think. Or it feels like an 80s, 90s kind of device, but really cool. And the plastic is very good as well. So this is my take on the RG Cube, and I strongly recommend this. This is one device. If you buy one device this year, this is the one. If you're into retro games, or if you just collect, I cannot stress enough that this is something you should get. It's not too expensive. It's $159. I think it'll go cheaper in a bit. They always have sale. So if you like the video, go ahead and like it. And if I didn't cover anything, just let me know in the comment section and I'll try to answer it.